the March meeting of the UTRU Board of Directors. At the present moment, we do not have a quorum, so there are certain items that we may have to skip over, and we will just do via email. But we can still have a general discussion. We did not have our February meeting, largely because I was preoccupied with doing all of the TrEATT stuff, the treads it everywhere all the time and getting everything put together. And that would have been my update anyway. Really was just kind of saying, hey, this thing is moving along. This is what we're doing. And so I didn't actually have much to report at the time. So that being said, we are back in March now. And just by way of some updates, Roan did decide to step away as a or as a board member. That combined with the one other seat that we already had to fill is that we do have two positions now available. I'll put this all in an email just for everybody, but that does mean, yes, we do have two positions to fill. The process at this point really is just if there's a name brought forward, the existing board just votes that individual in. So if you know of anybody that is interested, I will fall back to our usual kind of standbys as far as what we like to encourage. And that is a person from any sort of underrepresented group, be it economic, gender, geographic, whatever the case may be. We always want to encourage that. We just don't want a bunch of white guys from the Salt Lake Valley, is really what we want to at least try to have a little bit more diversity on that. So if you know anybody that's interested or available, McKay, I'm looking at you up in Cache Valley. Just as an example, those spots are available. And I will start pushing that forward a little bit more as well, just on the social medias. It would be a 2-year, well, not quite 2-year, about 18-month term at this point. Yeah, if you know of anybody, let me know. We can put that on there. Let's see here. Chris said that he would not be here as well. So yeah, in order to have a quorum, we currently have a board of 7. We do need 4. We currently have 3, just to let everybody know. So
So
if
you
someone else
can't,
hops on.
do you not see me?
No, I
Oh,
see
we
you.
don't, sorry, McKay is a guest, sorry.
He is, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, but you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
McKay. You are
yes,
not a voting board member.
yes, understand.
Yes. And so yeah. Anyway, that is where we are at. We can't vote on the January minutes. If anybody had an opportunity to look at them though and had any
I did.
questions, and you did, go ahead.
No, I don't have a question, but yes, I
Oh,
looked at them and
oh, great. One of the items that I totally skipped, and actually it was related to you, Anne, is you did specifically ask for like talking points over the last meeting, and that completely got lost in the shuffle. So I do apologize for that. I will be sure to put that together. It's on my to-do list now. I was just full focused on getting like everything put together for the initial push for the Transit Imagined rollout. Um, any other questions on January? We can't do anything with it, but if there's no other questions, I can at least move on. Okay. Well then, moving on to the executive director activities and membership update. Yeah, it was really a treat. It was really just kind of getting those initial contacts out. I think I sent something like 900 contacts, 900 emails out. I am going to be sending a second round actually over the next couple of days, probably starting actually next week. Most of the emails were good. Some of them were kickbacks, but most of them were good. A lot of them were just kind of difficult. We couldn't really get contact information. When there were web forms, I put in the web forms, tried to get some responses. Um, I would say, I mean, this is just kind of a gut feeling, but at least responses back was about 5%, I would say. We do have 8 policymakers that have at least formally signed up. There is a 9th that wishes to remain anonymous, so we will respect that as well. And then I am going to make another push, as I said, and I'm going to make a third push actually right at the start of May, because as you recall, the policy aspect or the policy writer aspect is going to be happening at the end of May. And so I figure I have a good couple of shots at this to at least get a couple more people on board, sprinkle in a few extra opportunities for press releases and those sorts of items. As far as people signing up for the petition, we've come in at about 68, 69, which is frankly a lot lower than I expected. I was really hoping we get some more support and push through on that. So I think as we get closer, I will continue to push it out. Say, the legislative session is, I did a tweet, I think it was either yesterday or today. Legislative session is over, but it's still, we need to keep the fight up, that sort of thing. And so continuing to support on that is always encouraged and appreciated. Help where you can on those. And then by the numbers, just to let you know, since we last met, as far as that is concerned, 912 Twitter/X followers. That's up 26. Facebook is at 956. That's actually down 3 since we last met. TikTok and YouTube hold steady at 18 and 8 respectively. General membership is up 27 to 266. Our mailing list is up 4 to 53 total. TOO, 53. UTRU students and the Sugar House are holding steady at 13 and 10. The Cache Valley is up to 7 on our records. So McKay, if you have more names, please send them over, but up 1. And then donors are also up 1 to 14, at least starting since October. So that is my report on that front. The other item, any questions on that first before I move on? Okay. Well, then the other item that I did want to talk about as far as just my updates, you probably all saw the email where I am unofficially an employee anymore of UTRU. I kind of needed to step back as a formal employee. I've been donating Bill is here. We will be able to do some stuff in just a second. We will get him on and in. Bill, welcome. Assuming you're getting logged in, but Bill, welcome. We now have a quorum, so we'll hop back to the minutes in just a second. Bill, you caught us right when we were, figuring it out. Bill, you caught us right as I was giving my update
Yes, sorry
on my
about that.
activities. You are okay. So just gave my updates. Biggest thing was working on TrEATT and getting policymakers on board. And I was just explaining that actually, as of last Friday, I am no longer an official employee of UTRU. I've been donating my salary back pretty much since January of last year. Had a bit of a surprise when I did my taxes this year, to be perfectly honest with you. And so I'm still intending to do a lot of the exact same stuff, but I did want to kind of give the opportunity to, if there are questions or kind of talk about that if there are anything. I still kind of want to intend to be the executive director in a sense, still hold the title, still help guide the rest of the board. But obviously it's more of a volunteer basis now, right? And so one of the things that I want to discuss, I had it on there anyway, and it was time to do appointments of board positions as just part of our regular thing, but a possible restructure of what UTRU looks like. And what I really mean by that is maybe subcommittees. We've talked about subcommittees in the past. And really the reason that we hadn't done that is because as executive director, I was kind of doing a little bit of everything and was all over the place and doing all of that sort of stuff. But the idea of kind of subcommittees, for example, a fundraising subcommittee, an outreach subcommittee, a policy subcommittee, these were a couple of the ideas that I was talking about, on top of people being the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer, right? Just so that the work is getting distributed a little bit more. I'm still going to be doing like the website maintenance. I'm still going to be doing outreach. I'm still going to be doing a lot of those things, still pushing TrEATT and still pushing all of the stuff, but I need to spread it out more. Unfortunately, if I'm not getting paid for it, it's one of those things. I'd love to bring more money in. I'd love to get paid more for it and all those things, but that's where I'm at the present moment. So Certainly, I want to make it very clear, though, not stepping away, not throwing my hands up, not saying that I'm not involved anymore. I still very much believe in it. It's just, yeah, I did my taxes, and it was very expensive for me to work for UTRU, and so I had to make a decision.
Yep.
So, are there questions on that, or thoughts about kind of that restructure idea?
Well, sorry to hear, Curtis, and it's just reflective of the tough times we're having with fundraising and everything. But really happy you were able to, you're not completely stepping away, and that you were able to stick us out with UTRU for the past year, and remain committed. And thank you for all the work you've done pro bono and all that time. And so hopefully in the future, at some point, UTRU will be able to make it right if it's still the right thing for you.
Sure.
In terms of restructuring, I would defer to the other people on the call. I think it's something to think about for sure.
Well, and I want to make it clear, like I'm still going to be putting in plenty of hours, right? But that's because it's something I believe in, and it's because I'm but I'm doing it as a volunteer, right? I'm not going to be marking hours down. Um, it's one of those things where if the rest of the board has an idea, I can go, yeah, that's a great idea, but I'm not necessarily going to run it down the same way I may have in the past, right? And so as far as a practical day-to-day is concerned, but I'm still going to put in plenty of hours. Like I enjoy the work, I believe in the work, and so yeah, I'm not walking away. I can't emphasize that enough. I just think that, yeah, with a restructure, I become more like a board member in a lot of ways. It's a volunteer position. We put in the work that we're able to put the work in, as opposed to I'm getting paid to do this, so I'm going to spend more time and energy and effort on it, right? So, are there any initial thoughts on a restructure? Thoughts, ideas, suggestions, so forth. Bill, you have your hand raised?
Yeah. Look, I mean, clearly that's the way we need to go right now. It's I totally understand. I've been kind of doing a lot, not as organized as an organization, but on my own for the last 18 months, time, and not even time, but also money spending to have drawings done and that kind of stuff. So I get it 100%. For me, I would love to, have a more active role. That's just going to be very tough for me for at least, probably the rest of this year. I'm hoping on Friday to get put on the Wasatch Back Regional Transportation Convening, which is was done by the county, Summit County, and Park City, and I think even Heber's involved in maybe Wasatch County. So I'll have a more active voice in that. But it's just all that stuff is it's time consuming for me. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of extra bandwidth right now. But I'm hopeful that I can help strategically, as we move forward over the course of this year and in the future, kind of on policy and just relationships with the state agencies. I'm doing a lot of work trying to make that happen as well. And yeah, so for that's my perspective on it, and my ability to help at this point is somewhat limited. So
And that's fair. And I think one of the things that's important to point out is if we do have subcommittees, which personally I think is the way to go, it's not as if only board members can be on those, right?
Yeah.
So if you personally can't attend, or if you personally don't have the bandwidth to do any and everything, that's fine. If you know others that are interested, but maybe don't want to sit on a board, this is also kind of a good way to get people comfortable with the idea of kind of getting more on the back end of UTRU, without necessarily taking on all the responsibilities of board membership.
Yep.
So if you know people, it doesn't necessarily just mean that you yourself are on that board, then that is also contributing. That is also helping.
Yep.
So keep that in mind as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thought? Well, then moving right along, I'm actually going to jump back since we now do have a quorum to the January minutes. Let me just pull these up really quick, just to make sure that everybody has a chance to see them. It should be on your screen. Let me know if you don't see them. Does everybody have a chance to look at them? And I know you did, obviously, but does anybody have any thoughts, suggestions, changes? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to approve the January minutes.
Bill motions. John, I saw a thumbs up. I'll assume that that's a second. All those in favor? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Awesome. All right, motion is unanimous. All right. Going back to our agenda then. Let me pull that back up again. Okay, appointment of board positions. So the other part of that is we are a little shorthanded as far as not having the full board, and I did just kind of throw this on here. So I think with the board's discretion, we probably should just put this out via email. Just saying if there are people that are interested in a particular board position, president, VP, secretary, treasurer, this is an annual vote. You can be the same position 2 years in a row. So I know, let's see. So John, obviously you've been our president. You could run again if you'd like. Mike, you were a co-VP, as was Randy. We had a secretary for a hot minute, but she resigned not long after, unfortunately. And then Chris has kind of always been our treasurer, just because he is the accountant. But I'll just put that out there and we can have a vote or nominations or anything like that. Unless there's anybody that wants to throw their hat in now and just say, yes, I'd like to be this position. Anybody?
Sorry.
Bill, I think we know where you're at, but
Yeah.
We'll put it out via email if that's all right with everybody. And just look for appointments there. Unless there are questions. All right, I'm chugging along. Don't
Go.
Feel free to stop me. March membership meeting coming up this Saturday. I've gotten Megan from UTA to talk about Change Day, August Change Day. Two biggest things with that, if you haven't heard, basically they are changing their fare structure for the Fair Pay card, for low income fee reduction, and UVX. So Fair Play, they are getting rid of the 20% discount, but they're swapping that out for a max cap of fees for day or week. So in other words, I want to say it's $10 a day max, or I'd have to pull it up, or $40 a week, I want to say is what it is. So just to kind of counteract that for the commuter, for the low income, they are actually expanding the pool of people that are able to qualify for low income spending as a general statement, or low income fares, excuse me, as a general statement. And then UVX actually has been free fare since it opened a couple years ago. That was actually supposed to not be free fare back in 2020, but a little pandemic came along, so they kept extending it out and extending it out. They finally have decided to pull the plug on free fare for UVX as well. On the ridership side of things, they are permanently canceling one of the ski routes that has been canceled since COVID. A couple of the routes that have been reduced since COVID are officially staying reduced. I want to say it's 218, which used to be a 15 and is now a 30. They're making it official. I want to say the 20 or 39. I want to say, I'm doing this off my head. So 39, it was a 30-minute staying at a 60. And then there's one other, I want to say the 218, same deal, where it was a 30-minute, they want to make it a 60. So that's the real short version, but have a representative from UTA to talk about that, field questions, do that. I've also secured Senator Nate Bluen, who is participating in the 7-day challenge as well. He's a personal friend, so He is going to be speaking to us about general advocacy and how to actually talk to lawmakers about the issues that are important to them, and obviously with a transit bent. Have a little moment for our chapters, any chapter presidents. McKay has already agreed to participate in that. Just a brief update. And then other than that, it should be pretty open shut. Give a brief update about TrEATT and the 7-day challenge and all of that. But yeah, that's what I have on deck for Saturday. So does anybody have any questions about that or ideas for anything else they want to stick in for that hour?
Is that Saturday another Zoom? Is it?
Yes, so it is just going to be virtual. And so I've been pushing that out on social media. I'll send another email blast to the membership, and I guess I can send it out to the board as well. But yeah, it is this Saturday, 11 o'clock, virtual. So yeah, that'll be there.
Yeah, hopefully Senator Nate's guidance on outreach in terms of how to speak to the elected officials is a little more tame than his Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter feed, which I've been following.
Yeah, no, Nate is definitely a firebrand, or can be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that I mean, he's young. He's 34. And so I think that he will also speak a little bit better to kind of the younger, our membership does trend younger. So I think that I think he'll be able to speak to that a little bit better than maybe some of the older policymakers that may otherwise be more than happy to talk to us, and they're always more than welcome. But I think Nate would tap into that a little bit better. So that's why I reached out to him as well.
Got it. Yep. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So cool. Any other thoughts, ideas, suggestions? Otherwise, yeah, that's kind of what I have on deck. All right. I'm chugging along. Update on TrEATT. So transit everywhere all the time. As I kind of said briefly at the top, yeah, I actually already kind of gave my update, but yeah, sent out roughly 900 emails or web forms or whatever to everyone on the legislature, to every email address of a council person I could find, to every mayor I could find that has at least one route in their city. And that's from Logan to St. George. That was from Vernal to, well, I guess UTA's catchment area as well. So pretty wide net. Response back, at least responses back. I got a lot of interesting ones, I will say that, that will turn into a blog post. But roughly 10% response back of some sort. We've got about 10 policymakers that have signed up. Not a lot of bounce back. Well, actually, a fair amount of bounce backs that I've since followed up with. Again, I'm going to be sending another round over the next couple of days, just saying, hey, either haven't heard back from you, what's going on, or love to have you participate, that sort of thing over the next weeks. Then closer to the end of April, a final round. Hey, it's coming up. We really want to get you involved. In the meantime, on the back end, continuing to push the petitions and getting people to sign up for that and saying, hey, X number of people in your area have already said that this is something that they care about. And so continue to push that forward. But, honestly, I thought for an initial during the legislative session rollout, I was surprised, as I said, on how many people didn't sign the petition, but I was actually kind of encouraged by how much engagement I got from the policymakers themselves. There was at least some interest from some people to get involved. And so I think with an initial push and continuing to kind of put it on there. Mike, looks like you have to go. And he's dropped off already. I think with another round and a third round, we can probably get some more people lined up, continue to push it out with press releases and take it from there. So are there any questions on that or any thoughts, ideas, comments there? McKay, you got your hand up.
Yeah, we can chat after maybe just about what we could do in Cache Valley to support that. It sounds like you did send it out to all the Cache Valley people you could find.
I did, yes, but we can certainly talk afterwards. That'd be great.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, then I'm going to chug along again. Initially I had fundraising discussion on the agenda. However, if we do move towards a restructure, really the discussion is more of do we want to have a fundraising committee, which I think would be prudent. And if that's the case, I frankly would want to table that unless there's anything anybody wants to discuss on fundraising. My cat jumps up on me. All right.
Yeah.
Well then, go ahead, Bill.
No, it makes sense. Like, I mean, I think if we're gonna go committee route, I think it's probably save the oxygen for when we have someone, that's heading that committee, that effort.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay. Well, then that leaves the open forum. McKay, I'll start off with McKay. Do you have any updates? I know that you have a membership meeting tomorrow for the Cache Valley, but is there anything in particular? I'll give the floor to you first before we just generally open it up.
No, we don't have any updates. The Logan Library finally opened, so we can actually meet there. So
nice. Well, fantastic. I sent out an email. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I sent out another blast to our membership list that we have, both via email and obviously on Twitter and Facebook as well. If you have any names that you haven't submitted, send those over. I'm always happy to send that or set that up. Yeah, sent those blasts out as well. So hopefully you get some good showing tomorrow and have that. Otherwise, Bill and John, do you guys have anything you want to discuss?
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting, over the past couple weeks to see the commentary and the comments coming, out of the State House and the governor's mansion in terms of appetite for more transit infrastructure in the state, specifically mentioning trains, which tickles my fancy. And the governor, even I think last week, he did a social media town hall maybe on Tuesday evening where he talked a lot about trains. He was asked about a link to Park City. He says, I love the idea. Won't happen before the Olympics, which I agree with. That's too complicated, and we probably should pair that with when they do a widening project on 80, which they're probably going to have to do at some point in the next 10 years. But if we can get a train route alongside of that, I'm okay with them adding a lane on each side to 80 as long as we get the train alongside of it. So yeah, I'm encouraged. It feels like there's a little bit of an evolution in the state that is kind of moving towards, better urban planning, for lack of a better term, more thought on, planning around transit infrastructure. So I know it's a long road, but the direction, at least, I think, is encouraging.
Yeah, I would agree. Mike hopped off, but it is interesting what's happening, certainly on the federal level as well.
Yep.
The cynical part of me thinks that they see dollar signs and just love, building, which, okay, I get that. But at the same time, I do think that there is some legitimate benefits that I think the policymakers are starting to realize. Certainly in the Valley, they're starting to run out of space, right? The governor said it himself, you can only expand I-15 so many times. And so I do think that there is some legitimate appetite there. President Adams, excuse me, has definitely always been kind of an advocate for that. And so, yeah, I'd love to see a train up to Park City and even down to Heber. I think that's a viable option. And, we have Front Runner, and I don't see why we couldn't run it out to Tooele and have Lake Runner, right? And up to Logan and down to Nephi.
Yep.
Certainly a possibility. Anything else? And how's construction treating you up in Sugar House?
Oh my God. It's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
The air's getting worse and worse. And as I've said from way back when, the detours are on detours because of the
Yeah.
construction. With all that wind that we had, there were construction signs, the big signs, road closed, blowing all over. I called the city just yesterday to ask them to take the signs off my front lawn, and they took them, they did get it done. There's
Oh, that's nice.
on Westminster Avenue, there is a bus sign that's laying on my neighbor's parking strip.
Oh, well, so free bus, I guess.
Yeah, if you could find one. And actually I'm using transit less and less. I'm walking more because they have, and this is one of the things that when I spoke with a customer service person, I said, you wonder why people don't use transit. Well, I came out from something that I do at least twice a week, and there was no bus stop sign. There was a city sign that said no parking bus stop, but the UTA sign was gone. And they took a number of stops off of Guardsman's Way and didn't even tell the bus drivers. And
that was actually going to be my follow-up question, is kind of how responsive have you found UTA to be? But it sounds like they're not being very responsive at all.
she said, well, it says right here, there's a stop at 700 South. I said, well, I'm standing at 700 South, and no, there is not.
Right.
Now,
there's no
luckily,
physical stop.
Yeah. I said, luckily, for that one day, because I didn't give myself enough time to walk 2 blocks to get to the bus stop. My bus, it's the 17, and the same 2 bus drivers all day long, because it's only once an hour.
Right.
He saw me and stopped because he knows me, and then he complained all the way till I got off and said, well, I won't be taking this bus anymore. And he was the bus driver I called grumpy because he never smiled. But anyway, it's a mess, and people are getting really, really, really tired of it because it's constant. It's been for more than 2 years, and 11th East won't be done for another 2 years.
Yeah. I maybe task you with just doing like a blog post of just your opinion on how it's going, what UTA could possibly improve on, and just kind of, say, hey, if you are experiencing this, other people are experiencing this, and sorry, my cat is climbing on me again. But if I can get you to maybe do 500 words or something along those lines, I think that's something really important to draw attention to. Because that does have a very real effect.
They had a survey that I took, and it was about the new rates and things like that, because my rate's not going to change at all.
Right.
I'm on
it's not going to change for a lot of,
and I'm over 65, and it's staying the same. And but they asked opinions, and I said, it's your communication between your employees that is awful.
Right.
They don't, I could call customer service right now and they would tell me there's a bus stop, and I know darn well there isn't one. And I'm not just talking about the 17, I'm talking about a number of others. And they tell you where the bus is on detour, but they don't tell you where there's any bus stops.
Right. Yeah, that's a problem, right? So yeah, let's if you can write maybe 500 words, just kind of highlighting your actual experiences.
Okay.
Because it's one of the things, like with our forums, for example. It's one thing to complain to UTA, and it does whatever it does within UTA. But I think that one of the services that we provide at UTRU is it's everybody can see it and everybody can talk about it, right? So yeah, if I could task you with that and we can kind of draw some attention to it, I think that would be great. And so I'll send you a kind of a follow-up email on that as well. Okay. Randy, you joined us right at the end. We are just at the open forum section, actually. But
I'm sorry.
well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just got held up on another project, so I was trying to get here as soon as I could. But I'll watch the recording.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Well, we are at the open forum section. Is there anything in particular you want to discuss?
I was just curious about the fare changes that UTA has for the change day. Because when I looked at it, all I could tell was that it was changing the way that you pay on the fare cards. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. The real brief version is Fair Pay. They've traditionally had a 20% discount. They're dropping that 20% discount, but they're capping the max you could pay in a week. And it's basically the equivalent of if you ride 5 days, then you'd still be saving money. If it's 4 or less, then you're paying the same. The other fare, the short version is they're expanding the number of people who qualify for the low income, lower transit rate. And then the third version is they are eliminating free fare for UVX. It was supposed to go away a number of years ago, but they stretched it out because of the pandemic. I should have added, I didn't add this originally. That doesn't, they're getting rid of the free fare, but I know that BYU and UVU do still subsidize, so the students will still be getting it for free. But if you're just a regular Joe, you will have to start paying to use UVX. So that's the fares aspect of it. And then also just to get up to speed for our member meeting, we will have someone from UTA joining us to talk about that, as well as some of the other route changes as well.
Great. And then, so do we have a forum? Did you vote on anything? Do you need my vote for anything? Or?
We had a quorum. We lost a quorum. We're back to a quorum, but we voted on everything that we needed to vote on. So we should be good.
Great. Perfect.
So, yeah. Anything else anybody wants to tack on? Otherwise, we're going to call it a short meeting. Yeah, I will do a lot of follow-up stuff as far as email is concerned. Randy, I'll make sure I'll get the YouTube of this posted as soon as possible and just send you the link. Because there was some stuff at the start that well, and Bill too, since you came on a little bit later, that I think would be good to have you hop on and at least watch. So I'll get that posted as soon as I can, send you the link. Other than that, I'm going to call it a meeting. McKay, I will stop the recording, and if you want to hang on and just chat real quick for you to, I mean, everybody can, I suppose, but other than that, I will go ahead and call it. The last motion is the motion to adjourn. It's non-debatable. So unless there is an objection, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? All right. Thank you all very much. Have a good rest of your day.
All right.
Thank you.